Tim Tebow's parents, Robert and Pamela Tebow, were Baptist missionaries on a mission to the Philippine Islands in the mid-1980s. While there, Pamela Tebow contracted amoebic dysentery and slipped into a coma. While Pamela was recovering from the dysentery and coma, she found out that she was pregnant. The medication she was prescribed during her recovery caused a severe placental abruption. Doctors feared the baby would be stillborn and recommended an abortion. Abortion, however, was illegal in the Philippines at the time, and was also against the Tebow's Christian beliefs. They chose to have the baby, and Timothy Richard Tebow was born at a hospital in the capital city of Manila on August 14, 1987.
The gang stalking of Tim Tebow is very real. And there are a lot of people who won't understand why. Because it's more than just what you see with the naked eye. It's about a style. It's about a people. It's about a faith that this country is not about. See, Tim Tebow was a rarity. You don't get a player this popular too often. And he kind of fed both crowds, if you get what I mean. How many Caucasian players have you ever seen that played like Tim Tebow?
Young Timmy and his family lived in the Philippines until he was 3 years old, and then they moved to Jacksonville, Florida. Tim and his 4 older siblings were all homeschooled, their parents instilling in them their strong Christian beliefs.
Tim Tebow, in case you don't know, and you'd have to never get on the internet or watch TV at all for you not to know that Tim Tebow is the quarterback for the Denver Broncos and has led them to the playoffs this season. And all throughout the season, he's been controversial because of how outspoken he is about his faith. He's so outspoken about his faith, and people love to hate on him because of it. They even nicknamed his prayer move after him, Tebowing. It has websites devoted to it and many spoof videos dedicated to Tebow. But even as a Christian, I've struggled with whether or not I agree with the way Tim Tebow presents his faith. He's very outspoken about it all of the time. But what do I feel about Tim Tebow? Let me answer that question with another question. Why do people not get upset when some musician or movie star gets up to accept an award and the first thing out of their mouth is, "I want to thank God for getting me here"? People don't get upset when celebrities get up and do that. And I think they don't get upset because they're not made to feel uncomfortable. Oftentimes, those people who get up to thank God are the very ones whose lives don't reflect anything that Jesus ever taught. So people don't feel threatened when they get up and thank God or Jesus at an award show. But I think people do feel threatened. I think people are made to feel uncomfortable when Tim Tebow gets up to thank God, to thank his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, whether he wins a game or loses a game, because Tim Tebow's life reflects what he believes.
Everything I do it through him, and I'm extremely blessed.
First off, I want to thank God, man. Nothing's possible without God, obviously.
We both really feel like this award really goes to God. It's totally been inspired by the Holy Spirit, and we just pray that many millions of lives will be affected by it.
Thank you.
I also want to say thank you to God. None of this can be possible without, God leading your way and, writing your path for you. So one more round of applause for that as well.
I'd like to thank God for this experience and all my experiences.
I just want to thank God for blessing me for this award.
I have to thank God for just this experience and for my family and my friends and for my boyfriend that's here with me tonight.
Now, first off, I want to thank God because that's who I look up to. He's graced my life with opportunities that I know are not of my hand or any other human hand.
No, I want to thank God. I know none of this is possible.
I'm up here to say thank you to God for giving me this ability, for blessing me, for shaping me, for chastising me, for teaching me, for punishing me, for allowing me to be a vessel and touch people around the world.
Tebow began his high school football career at Trinity Christian Academy in Jacksonville, where he played tight end. Prior to the 2003 season, however, the Tebow family moved to nearby St. Johns County, where Tim would be eligible to play for Nias High School, who had considerably less talent on the field. This change allowed Tim to play quarterback on his new team. Tebow quickly made a name for himself as a dual-threat quarterback. Late in his junior season, however, he would suffer a leg injury, first thought to be a severe cramp. He would go on to finish the game, including rushing for a 29-yard touchdown run. After the game, it was revealed that he was actually playing on a broken fibula. The injury ended his junior season, but Tebow was still named Player of the Year for the state of Florida and garnered attention from major college football programs. Tebow went off during his senior season in high school. He passed for 3,302 yards and 31 touchdowns while running for 1,163 yards and another 21 touchdowns on the ground. Tebow led the Nias Panthers to the state championship that season and was named to the All-State team. He was also named Mr. Football in the state of Florida, as well as repeating as Florida's Player of the Year. He also earned an invitation to the U.S. Army's All-American Bowl, which was televised nationally. And then came decision time. Where would Tim Tebow play his college ball? Tebow's parents were both graduates of the University of Florida, where they had met. Despite this, Tim entertained offers from other football programs, including the University of Alabama. Ultimately, the decision to play for the Florida Gators was made because of the Gators coach Urban Meyer and his spread offense. During his freshman year, despite his strong showing in summer workouts before the start of the season, Tebow was named backup to Chris Leak for his freshman season. That's not to say he didn't contribute, because Coach Meyer was able to quickly find a spot for Tebow as a wildcat quarterback, as much a threat to run the ball as he was to throw it. He was inserted into the game against Southern Miss in a goal line situation, and on his first collegiate play, ran for a touchdown on a designed QB run. The following week, he led the Gators in rushing against UCF. The 2006 Florida Gators were not going to be stopped, rolling all the way to the BCS National Championship game. Tebow, despite not starting, was instrumental in this game as well. He accounted for 2 touchdowns, 1 passing and 1 rushing, in the Gators' 41-14 rout of the Ohio State Buckeyes to win the national championship. Tim Tebow was riding high going into his sophomore season. Coming off of his national championship game MVP performance, Chris Leak had gone on to the NFL draft. That meant that Tebow was now the Gators' starting quarterback. Although questions of his accuracy still lingered, Tebow would put those questions to bed quickly. In the first game of the season against Western Kentucky University, Tebow would go 13 of 17 for 300 yards. Later in the season against arch rivals Florida State, Tebow would throw 3 touchdown passes while rushing for 2 more. In the third quarter of that game, he sustained a right hand injury, which was his non-throwing hand because he was left-handed, but went on to complete the game. It was later revealed that he played the entire fourth quarter with a fractured hand. That's just the type of competitor that Tim Tebow is. Tebow's numbers for his sophomore season were amazing. He passed for 3,286 yards and 32 passing touchdowns against only 6 interceptions. Add to that his rushing numbers of 895 yards and 23 touchdowns on the ground, which is the most rushing touchdowns by a major conference player in the nation, regardless of position, and he's the only player in college football history to score 20-plus touchdowns, both passing and rushing, in the same season.
Tim Tebow had 3 passes of over 30 yards against the Steelers' defense. They had allowed 7 passes of over 30 all season long. Skip, unleash.
Finally, they did unleash him. Finally, after I have pounded this desk for 10 straight weeks, saying, please let him throw just 1 pass on first down.
What? Okay, this game just ended in Denver, Colorado. Ryan Clark not playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coach's decision. The coach sat him down.
If you hear in the beginning of this video, they are laughing because the kid that was not supposed to be any good, that couldn't throw, just beat the team that won the Super Bowl the year before. So somebody is lying to me.
Finally, after they ran the ball during regulation yesterday, 23 of 24 first downs. Finally, on the first play of overtime, they let him play action, throw it on first down, and what happened? What I said would happen. He did what he is fully capable of doing.
Oh. The great Oz has spoken. Folks, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
He hit Demarius right on the dot with a laser beam, and he ran it home for the winning touchdown in overtime. You want to talk about clutch gene? Let's talk about huge clutch gene. And I want to say, to sum this up, he threw for 316 yards, did Tim Tebow, against the #1 NFL pass defense after every network pregame show reported that Tim Tebow was one series or maybe even one play away from Brady Quinn being in the game. He was playing for his NFL life.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
So that we understand, this is a man who took a garbage team that won 4 games, and the next year has them in the playoffs. And I remember this time. It was like everybody was saying, well, it's just a matter of time before he's out of there, even though he was winning. If you've been watching sports long enough, you know Skip Bayless is a part of the system. In this case, he's been used as controlled opposition. You got Tim Tebow's biggest fans saying he's fighting for his life. He won't be in the league next year, even though he is winning.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
For a team that had turned on him, a Kyle Orton-loving locker room and coaching staff that turned on him last week. We heard from McGahee, we heard from Champ. We can't win with this guy. We can't win this way.
I remember this. I remember defensive players complaining about Tebow praying. I remember his players turning on him. I remember all the analysts turning on him. Kind of like they did Kwame Brown from get-go, just on his helmet. He's not going to make it.
And Tim Tebow, under more pressure, as I tweeted before the game yesterday, than any young quarterback has ever faced, especially going into a playoff game, responded with his best game yet. Now he has taken a 1-4 team on an 8-4 run. He has won a playoff game. All he does is win playoff games. And he now has 14 touchdown passes to only 6 interceptions. And I will bet the haters are still gonna hate. Take it away, guys.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
I don't know.
You want to go first, Coach?
Yeah, I don't know why it has to be called hating if you provide balance.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
I don't think that's hating. I think that's just trying to see.
Go ahead and hate, Coach. I don't care.
Well, yeah, that's a fair distinction. You like to say you don't hate on LeBron.
Yeah,
but you're critical of LeBron.
Let's just put this in perspective. I see the glass as half full, and I have from the start. You have seen the glass as empty from the start.
Very empty.
Yeah.
You don't see the glass as half full. You see the glass as bubbling over. With more
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a little over the top. A little over the top.
Did I say?
A lot over the top.
Did I ever say he was John Elway? No. Did I ever just say he'll win games and be a successful starting quarterback in this league? Not a great thrower, an effective thrower.
Not even you, and you've been his biggest supporter, not even you predicted him to beat the Steelers.
No, because I didn't think they'd let him beat the Steelers.
Even though these guys are crafty and masters at deceit and masters of what they do, and yes, they are masters at what they do, nobody's perfect. Getting in the heat of the moment, trying to conjure up fake energy, sometimes you'll say something that you wasn't supposed to say. Now, I can't say nobody's dumb that doesn't believe that this is all rigged, because you're just in a deep sleep. The NFL is scripted and rigged.
I said on Friday, you weren't here on Friday, but they're not going to unleash him against Pittsburgh. They'll play not to lose, and they'll lose.
I don't think this was a function of being unleashed. I mean, he completed 10 balls, and the numbers
for 31 yards a ball.
The numbers were ridiculous. I get that. I think the difference between this week and what Kansas City did is Kansas City had someone in the middle of the field, and 2 of the biggest completions came where Pittsburgh had 10 guys in the box. Once the ball was completed, there was no second layer to the defense. And I understand that you want to stop the running game. I get that. But when you go all in like that to stop an 8-9 yard run or whatever you anticipate it to be, you're taking big chances. And the thing that I said last week was, can he do this? Can he beat man-to-man coverage? And he's reset the clock now. That's the good news, is he's shown people that he can do it at this level, which is really important going into next week.
Let me just say this, and let me give credit to Tim Tebow for doing the unthinkable, because you're right. If you polled 30 analysts yesterday before this game, who would win this game, they all probably said the Pittsburgh Steelers, me included.
Did anybody pick Denver?
I don't think anybody
I didn't see anybody pick Denver.
That being said,
including Skip.
Including
I said that. I said.
That being said,
Ryan Stewart, I'm being told your brother picked Denver.
That being said, you got to slow down a little bit. You got to slow your roll a bit, as a matter of fact. Did you feel this way? Were you this exuberant after they got destroyed by the Buffalo Bills, by the Kansas City Chiefs? They could only put up, 2 or 3 points, by the New England Patriots. Were you acting like this then, Skip?
Hey, for the record.
Don't act like that didn't happen, Skip.
No.
The guy made big plays on yesterday.
You just asked me. Let me answer.
The guy made big plays yesterday, but keep it in perspective. The last 3 weeks, he struggled, and that's putting it lightly.
False. Big
what
false.
What do you mean false?
Big false. He played his best game against New England for 4 quarters. Trent Dilfer said after the game, dramatic improvement. I made the point, nobody wanted to hear it. For the first 3 quarters at Buffalo, he played very well. He had a touchdown pass and a touchdown run.
Skip, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to try to say this the best way I can, because I like Tim Tebow. Once again, I almost feel obligated to say I like Tim Tebow as a guy.
Don't.
Okay?
It's fraudulent
because it's true. It's not.
It's okay.
I don't have anything against Tim Tebow. It's fool's gold. What you saw yesterday is fool's gold. If you think Tim Tebow is that guy that completed 47% of his passes to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you think it's all Tim Tebow, you're wrong, Skip. Just keep this thing in perspective. The guy made some big plays yesterday. The throw to Bebe, a.k.a. Demaryius Thomas, was a huge play in overtime. But you got to keep it in perspective, Skip. Will you be feeling this way next year this time? Will Tim Tebow even be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year this time?
Here's what you have to keep in perspective. If he had just won a couple out of 3 games, I'd say, you know what, let's wait and see. If he'd won 3 out of 4, I'd say, you know what, let's slow our roll here. This could be fool's gold. He won 7 out of 8. 7 out of 8. Wait. He took a 1-4 team on an 8-4 run. He won a playoff game that nobody thought he could win. He beat the Bears when nobody thought he could beat that defense, and he threw for 191 in overtime, in fourth quarter and overtime against the Chicago Bears. You just won't give it up. Your eyes keep telling you, man, he can throw it really well. But all I hear is, he can't pass.
Skip,
he can't throw.
Skip, you keep saying for the last minute and a half, you kept using the word, he beat these teams. How much credit are you going to give a guy that's completing 49% of his passes, last in the NFL? I hate to bring up these things, but you have to keep these things in mind. You can't forget what happened over the last 3 weeks, Skip.
I do disagree with one point Coach made. I thought Kansas City often did not have a man back. I thought they were playing press man across the ball many times.
No, they were, Skip, but they had a post safety, so if the ball was completed, there was a second layer, so you wouldn't have seen the catch and run
Pittsburgh
type
had a
play.
post safety on the last play, except he was cheating because they run it every first down, right?
He was 2 yards from the line.
Okay, well, I'm saying, but he started as a post safety.
That's not really a post safety. A post safety is 10 to 12 yards deep, and when he catches that 8-yard post, that's where the play ends. Maybe you get 12 or 14, but it doesn't go for 80 like it
Skip,
did.
I've already acknowledged there's something special about this year this kid is having. I've acknowledged that. It's something that nobody really can explain. That being said, you have to put this in perspective. You can't go off the fact that they won. That's the end-all, be-all. They won. If you look at the games, if you use your eyes, you have to understand that this is fool's gold for the most part. Yep. Do you think that he'll be doing this next year this time? Do you think that he'll be a starting quarterback in 2-3 years? I doubt it, Skip.
I've been saying it from the draft night. Yes, I do. I said take him in the first round. I was on record before the draft. And one guy was smart enough, Josh McDaniels, who's now up in New England, one guy was smart enough to say, yes, let's take him. When he got demoted to 4th string, Tim Tebow, during training camp, I sat right here. I said it 5 times during training camp. This will be the worst mistake John Elway makes as an NFL GM. I stand by it. I agree with your point. The defense has played in stretches well. All of a sudden, the last 4 games, they have not played very well because they lost their most valuable player and the quarterback and leader of the defense, Brian Dawkins. They again gave up 150 yards rushing yesterday. At Buffalo, the defense collapsed and gave up 165 yards rushing. It's hard to win that way. They kept putting Tebow in holes in the fourth quarter because they played not to lose. 5 times he came back in the fourth quarter to win, and I guess, does this count as a comeback yesterday? I guess it was tied. So
no, actually, it was almost a blown lead because they had a 2-touchdown lead, and they were kind of playing the reverse role.
Because they couldn't stop Roethlisberger when it's time. They don't rush the passer anymore. Von Miller, with the cast on his hand, is a shell of himself. They did in the middle of that 7 of 8 run. They had Von Miller and Dumerville flying off the edges. They were getting very little pressure on Roethlisberger yesterday. It's hard to win that way. You're putting all the heat on a kid who still hasn't started a full season of games yet. He's not even up to the Cam starts of 16 starts. You got to give him some credit here,
I give him a lot of credit. He made some big throws yesterday, Skip. But you got to temper this thing. I mean, seriously, it's out of control now. It's like a snowball. He's 8-4. Yes, they win games.
Mirage?
But watch your eyes. Use your eyes, Skip.
I'm asking you to use your eyes, man.
I think it is a mirage. I don't know what it is.
On to the next topic, I'm curious to hear your response to the mirage statement.
Yeah,
is it?
I don't think this is fool's gold. I think it may be more silver at this point. We're going to see where it goes.
Well, that's just as strong as gold to me.
Well, the thing that I really liked from this last game is the question was, can he beat press man-to-man coverage? Because that was going to be the answer. And so many coordinators have been criticized during this Tebow run for playing soft, not challenging the receivers. But this is what you get. When you get up there and you press, you're taking chances on the big play. And that's why those coordinators didn't do that. And the fact that he was able to respond in light of the Kansas City game, to me, is a really important step in his progression.
It is big because now it's pick your poison.
It showed a lot of guts and mental toughness to bounce back from that. And I said it then, and I'll say it again now. The Buffalo game was the worst fourth quarter he's ever played in his life. And why did it happen? Because they fell 2 touchdowns behind late in the third, and all of a sudden he started trying things he's never tried before. And they played it differently. They played deep. They played 2 people back. They played zone defense, and they picked him off effectively. He had 4 turnovers, but three interceptions. And then against Kansas City, he was playing not to lose, just like the coach plays not to lose. I couldn't even recognize him. And thankfully, John Elway said, you know what? He ought to just pull the trigger. He started pulling
It's
the trigger.
amazing you have explanations for all of the losses, all of the bad throws. It's amazing you have explanations for all of that.
It's
when
amazing
it just is
you
what
have
it is.
explanations the other way.
Yeah.
That you try to explain out of it when all
because
he
you know
does,
why? I know the game. I played the game.
Okay.
I played the game in college.
I know the game too.
Yeah.
And I saw at Minnesota a shootout in the second half in which he matched them throw for throw, the whole second half. Threw the heck out of the ball. I'm not saying he's John Elway. As he said, I'm no John Elway. Well, he's not, nor will he ever be. But you know what? The threat of the run is so strong with them. They did lead the National Football League in rushing. It is so strong that if you blend it and you start getting unpredictable on first down, you're going to get a whole bunch of home run throws that are
I don't know how many more teams are going to play them like Pittsburgh played them, though.
I can't imagine that the teams are going to take the safety out of the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's a big gamble.
And the threat of the run on 2 of those big plays, there were 10 guys up there in line.
Okay, well,
there's no help.
They finally took advantage. They dared him, and he finally said, watch this.
He beat him.
And that's the really good news, I think, about this.
Okay, and the final point I'll make is, he's a 47% passer. You know why? Because everybody plays some kind of press coverage and dares them to throw deep, and nobody in the National Football League tried more 15-yard plus passes than Tim Tebow. So most everything he's throwing is deep. He's going for home runs.
And obviously the percentage is going to go down the further you throw the ball from the line of scrimmage. He sizzle on Tebow in this same GQ piece. Suggs told Mike Silver, quote, they say we're giving him a hard time because he's a Christian. No, that's not it.
Coming to the near side, to the end zone, touchdown, Tim Tebow.
We were giving him a hard time because he was terrible.
Tebow to the left, to the end zone, touchdown.
Tebow. That was easy. Here he goes, his first career touchdown pass.
Does he have a point? Absolutely, without question, 1,000%.
Because if you're a football
Then why
player,
bring up the Christianity angle?
Because I know for a fact that there are football players who believe that their critique of Tim Tebow is based on his open devotion.
You still don't believe, do you? It's time to take the blinders off. Like I said, people will slip up. He just really said the truth. Then Skip Bayless, or should I say Flip Bayless, has to correct him and reel him in. You gotta remember, this is Skip's boy. If you notice, Skip does that. He brings a lot of the brothers up. Their handler, if you will.
To the Lord and his willingness to pray
critique?
I'm just saying, the public, I'm sorry, I got lost. To the Lord and his willingness to pray
critique?
I'm just saying, the public, I'm sorry, I got lost. To the Lord and his willingness to pray
critique?
I'm just saying, the public, I'm sorry, I got lost. When they're critical of Tim Tebow is based on, you know, his willingness to pray, etc. And what Terrell Suggs is saying got nothing to do with it. I'm judging him as a football player. When you in between those lines, I'm not thinking about his religious beliefs.
Looking back at this, it is obvious that this guy is green and Skip is carrying the show. Basically telling this man his lines, reeling him in. And you could tell with Stephen A. Smith. You could tell with him. I mean, Skip, we know it's a paycheck too, but he at least tried to exert some. But with Stephen A., you could tell it's fake with him.
And he decides to go on the quarterback draw. Tebow running room. Tim Tebow. More money. Tim Tebow touchdown. Tebow play fake. With time. Throws in the end zone. Touchdown.
I'm thinking about getting at him. He's a quarterback, okay? I don't think he's that good. And I respect that because what he's doing is what I've been striving to do for ages. I'm trying to bring it back to the game. I'm trying to bring it back. Look, man, can you throw or can't you throw? Think about this, and I said this on SportsCenter the other day. Do you notice that 90% of the time it got to the point where football pundits, aficionados, experts, etc., had to go on the airwaves and qualify every single statement of Tebow by saying, he's a nice guy. He's an incredibly nice kid.
You've done that
blah,
before.
blah. And I've had to do it. Why? Because people are sitting there assuming that you're just crucifying the dude because there's something personal.
Tebow buys time, end zone, open receiver, touchdown Broncos.
Fairness, when Skip always says the same thing about LeBron. I like LeBron as a person,
but it's never. Listen, Tebow mania. Let's face reality. Up until Jeremy Lin, we ain't never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like Tebow mania in my life.
This is the 11th play of the drive. Throw to the end zone, touchdown Broncos. Tebow gonna take it himself. It's all Tebow to the 5, touchdown.
Okay, and the fact is that you have people that had to qualify. I'm trying to tell you, Governor Ed Rendell, former governor for Pennsylvania. I know him well. I hadn't seen him in months. I saw him a couple of months ago. He comes up to me and gives me a big hug. Stephen A., I love you. But you gotta get off of Tebow, man.
On the screen, it's completed to Marino, touchdown.
You just gotta do it. You know what I mean? Everywhere you go, my mama. Stephen, I did not raise you that way. You can't do that, Stephen. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. My mother never watched. I'm trying to tell you, Skip, the next time my mother watches a football game will be the first. My mother has never seen a football game in her life.
Over the middle, got his man, touchdown. Tebow with time, throwing over the middle, wide open to the 5, touchdown, Eddie Royal.
but she was watching Tim Tebow. You understand? Because why are you being so critical of him? He's such a nice young man. I'm like, Mama, stop it. Stop it. And I got to sit there and I got to go home. I'm missing out on my home-cooked meal because of Tim Tebow.
And now we know why Mom loves Skip so much.
There we go. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's you know, T. Suggs is just bringing it back to, this is about football, y'all. He's not that good of a quarterback yet, period.
Okay, let's go back to your recurring theme. You have blamed Tebow mania in large part on me, right?
Yes, it's your fault.
I'm going to take some blame for Suggs' comments here because he and I have sparred regularly on this program.
Yeah?
And
spar is nice, by the way.
Spar is nice. And I might have pushed Suggs over the edge on Tebow because we have gone just as hot and heavy as you and I have gone about Tebow.
I believe that.
So I'm going to give him a little bit of a break. Sometimes I think he can be a little knuckleheaded. Sometimes I think he can be myopic when it comes to Tim Tebow. Because to dismiss him as mediocre is doing a great injustice to what Tim Tebow pulled off this year. And we can go on for another half hour about this.
Tebow will keep it. Cuts it back. Fights his way to the goal line. So 3rd and long. Tebow for Decker. He's got it.
But mediocre. Hey. What Tim Tebow did in the second half at Minnesota, not mediocre. The first half against Brady, not mediocre. The 190.
Dead clock is right twice a day.
Hold on. The 191 yards passing in the fourth quarter and overtime against the Bears, you said, would be his toughest test on defense. That's not mediocre. And finally, 316 against Pittsburgh and the winning touchdown pass in overtime. That's not mediocre.
That was definitely.
Tebow trying to run around the corner. Tebow's got a first down and more. He might score. Touchdown.
Not mediocre.
Yeah, that's rare.
The Minnesota, their defense, their secondary was ridiculed with injury.
Okay, but remember the circumstance he's in. He's winning in spite of a GM and a coach who do not believe in him. He's winning in spite of a team that I believe was, can I be nice about this, below average, below a team that was 1-4. It was miraculous, but it was real. It was true.
Tebow with the football after the play fake, looking around. Shaking off tacklers. How about that play from Tebow? And it's inside the 10, and that is a touchdown for Denver.
It was not mediocre because when the fourth quarter came, when he had 6 fourth-quarter comebacks, he became a special player. I'm sorry, you just need to admit that.
I think Stephen A. would admit that now. Would you give him that? Fourth quarter, the kid was special?
Yeah.
Okay. Case closed, and I let Suggs off that hook.
All right. Very good.
But he stunk for the first 45 minutes.
First down, Tebow to the end zone, touchdown! And Tebow going to the end zone, and the ball is caught by Eddie Royal. Tebow, there he is, taking off Bill. He's got the first down, he's got the touchdown.
And the point is,
and that matters. And y'all are trying to gloss over that, Nah, he stunk for 45 minutes a game.
Not every game.
Oh, please, most of the game. And when you combine that with the fact that he stunk in practice, the fact that he was still in the lineup to stink up the joint for 45 minutes
so you're
a
saying
game.
winning,
It's disgusting.
wait a second. Now you're saying winning isn't everything. Winning doesn't matter anymore,
Winning
right?
matters.
Okay.
Winning matters.
Right.
So I'm going to give you that.
All right.
You know, and the
other thing,
lucky
too,
self.
Now, at this time, there wasn't too many people as popular as Tim Tebow. I mean, ever as popular as Tim Tebow was. Like, you'd have to go to your Bo Jacksons, your MJ in the 90s type. He was pretty popular for somebody they never ever dealt with. how would they ever get rid of this quarterback that they don't want? The all-star players, all pro players are complaining about playing. How will Denver ever make the fans forget? It was the fans that called for Tebow to play. Management threw him in there to shut up the fans. If they see him throw, we'll sit him back down. How would they trump this feeling in Denver? I guess there'd only be one way. Remember, everything happens for a reason. With no further ado, how they successfully sweep Tim Tebow under the rug in Denver amongst his own. Whenever they want you to forget about an up-and-comer who's going against the establishment, they always dust off an old fan favorite legend.
Peyton Manning has asked his agent, Tom Condon, to begin negotiations with the Denver Broncos. Wow. So after his due diligence, Peyton Manning has decided that it is Denver.
Win the battle indeed.
Thoughts?
It is a huge mistake on the part of Peyton Manning. He chose the worst situation to win now. The defense is below average. The receiving core is still below average. The offensive line is good, but maybe he wanted the ultimate challenge. Of all the teams we've talked about, this is the ultimate challenge. But I love it. I've been rooting for this from the start also, for him to make this mistake. I've used that word over and over again because it allows the Broncos now to get out from under what they think is Tebow mania. Tim Tebow will be on the trade block tomorrow.
Wow.
And I love it. Free Tebow.
I believe that he's got a lot of great football left in him. And I told him, and the process was, my goal is to make Peyton Manning the best quarterback that's ever played the game.
Now, if he only felt this way about Tim Tebow, he wanted to make Tim Tebow the greatest player ever because he had the drive, he had the skills. If you look at Tom Brady's first couple years, he wasn't lighting it up. They were winning. You failed miserably at making Peyton Manning the greatest quarterback ever.
And he's got that ability with the football that he's got left.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you, Mr. Bolin. I'm very excited to begin the next chapter of my playing career for the Denver Broncos. I'm looking forward to meeting my new teammates and doing everything I can to help this franchise win another Super Bowl. You know, it'll be speculated on and debated, you know, for months to come whether it was the right decision or not. I'm going to go out and try to make it the right decision.
Move over Brett Favre and make room for the new king. Peyton throws homer and he's got Julius Thomas there. Thomas with a touchdown, and there's the record.
He's a guy that raises all boats. He's a guy that's going to make our football team, and he's already made them better.
Who he was the guy that made you forget about Tim Tebow, this veteran great quarterback taking the place of a second-year player learning the ropes who didn't even get the full run of the facility.
Look, we didn't get to the most potent quote. Sure, okay. Which is the prayer quote. Can we see that again? Yeah. Just so we get it fresh in our minds? Here it is. If you look at it as a whole, there's a lot of things that just don't seem very humble to me. When I get the opportunity, I'll continue to lead, not necessarily by trying to get in front of the camera and praying, but by praying with my teammates, you know? Mike Silver says that Brady Quinn is a Christian. Mike Silver did a book with Kurt Warner, who's been an outspoken Christian, but also outspoken against Tim Tebow, saying he's taken his Christianity a little too far in interviews and in the public.
I just want to make clear what is going on here. Heaven forbid you influence the world to pray. Now, I don't agree with most of what Skip says, but he's about to say some really deep stuff, and he's going to actually get into scripture, believe it or not. But you, your own self, and your own mind, you understand this. When you hear players talk about how they made it, how they trained, they don't mind that. How they worked and sacrificed, they definitely don't mind you talking about sacrifice. But heaven forbid you say, I made it here by praying and believing on God.
I believe that both Brady Quinn and Kurt Warner, as Christians, are out of bounds in their criticism of Tim Tebow. And I find especially this quote from Brady Quinn very offensive. Tim Tebow is an evangelical Christian. Mike Silver describes in the piece his Christianity as over-the-top Christianity.
Why would it be over the top? You seen how this man was born. You seen all he went through just to get here. You seen how he was raised up, where he didn't even go to other schools until he was in high school. He was homeschooled to make sure that he didn't have these outside influences on him. His parents cared about how he thought and how he moved. Now you see players shucking, you see players jiving, you see stepping, fetching, you see players doing all kind of madness. But prayer's out of line.
Which you can't, that's a contradiction to me, because evangelical Christians are supposed to be over the top.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
By definition.
By definition.
Is, yeah.
Because if I can go biblical just for a second. In the New Testament, Jesus instructs his disciples to do exactly that, to be over the top, to wear their Christianity on their sleeves, to be fishers of men, to try openly, blatantly, publicly to win souls for God.
Now, what I've showed you thus far has to explain that this isn't what the NFL wants. The NFL is about Satan. The NFL is about sacrifice. The NFL is about white supremacy. This kid was a major influencer, and he would have had kids all over the world praying. That's not what they want.
And in so doing, in wearing their Christianity on their sleeves, every disciple got killed for doing so. Every one of them, by the end of that Bible. So, in Matthew 6, 5 and 6, Jesus does say that he criticizes the hypocrites who show off and grandstand and pray in public, that praying should be done in private. But remember, Tebow isn't grandstanding when he prays during games. He's praying in as private a place as he can find, which is off to the side from the bench. That's his private place during games. And as Tebow told me in Indianapolis a few weeks back in Super Bowl week, he's not praying for victory. He's praying for the strength to honor God in victory or defeat. He was very clear about that. I don't believe that God wins or loses football games, so let's not condemn him for that. And trust me on this, Tim Tebow prays in private a whole lot. Tim Tebow prays with the teammates who are open to praying in the locker room or off in private places away from the game. But during the game, he's praying for strength to honor God. And I have absolutely no problem with that, because it's not show-off, it's not grandstand, it's not self-promotional. It's genuine Tim Tebow, straight from the heart, doing what he believes he should do at any stressful moment in the game, is to drop to one knee off to the side from his teammates and pray. And I'm offended that Brady Quinn has a problem with that, because he's basically characterizing Tebow as a self-promoter, as a grandstander, as a hot dog, as a praying hot dog.
He clearly doesn't use that language.
No, but that's how it's coming across.
He's making a distinction.
So I'm not going to pray in front of the cameras. I'll go with my teammates off in private and we'll pray together. Okay, that's fine, but don't condemn Tebow. There are lots of different kinds of Christians. There are many definitions of Christianity. The evangelical is the most outspoken. It's the most, to quote Mike Silver, in his view, the most over the top, which is the very definition of being an evangelical Christian. Right. And I have absolutely, as a Christian myself, no problem with that.
This is the problem with Christianity. A wicked devil like Skip Bayless could claim being a Christian. He couldn't claim being an Israelite. And they don't listen to the Bible. You out your mind if you don't believe that Tim Tebow in some form or fashion was not coveted of the spotlight. But that's not my point. My point is white supremacy. My point is Tim Tebow was an influencer that would have changed the way millions of people thought and millions of people played. You got to look at these running quarterbacks. The NFL goes out their way to prove that these running quarterbacks only got a few years. They call calls against them. They do a lot of madness to shut them down and to promote the good stay in the pocket white quarterback. Please believe Tim Tebow was different. He wasn't your normal white quarterback, but he would have influenced the position to change, which would have put a lot of white players, in my opinion, out of the quarterback position.